This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Regina Lee.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of the Good Neighbor Podcast based here in South Charlotte. And I have an amazing woman that I had the pleasure of meeting a year or two ago. And I would like to introduce Carolina Marrelli, and she is the owner and founder of Equibalance Health based in Charlotte. Welcome. How are you?
I'm so good, and I'm so honored to be here with you today.
Well, me as well. You are one of those people that really brightens up a room, and I think what you do for a living just suits you. So let's talk about what you do and how you got into this, because I happen to know there's quite a story here.
Yeah. So my name is Carolina Marrelli, and I am a holistic health coach and corporate wellness speaker. And I got into this work after having a health crisis that almost killed me after my second child was born. And I had a 2.5-year recovery. And in that season, it was go hard or go home, trying to figure out how to get my health back. And it scared the living daylights out of me, being a young mom and a career woman, going after my dreams and suddenly having everything that I worked for have to be put on a back burner permanently, because my health was my number one priority at that point, and being a wife and a mom to my kids. So I think that is something that, it's really the foundation for why I do what I do. I never want to see another woman go through what I went through and not know how to regain her health or just live a healthy lifestyle in general. We're not taught how to do that. And there's so much information out there. It's very, very overwhelming. So I pride myself on being able to be a resource for other women to help them have the vibrant life that they want to have and be healthy.
So can you share what was happening, your symptoms? I mean, what?
Yeah. So I went septic with group B strep. And then I got something called difficile, which is an antibiotic-induced colitis. I was hospitalized for over a week. I was on several broad spectrum IV antibiotics because I didn't know that I had group B go septic in me. So I get released from the hospital. I'm at home with a nurse for another 7-10 days, more IV antibiotics. And then I come off the IV line, and 4 days later I get hit with C. difficile, and it was a nightmare. I lost 6 pounds in 3 hours, and I'm a very tiny, petite woman. So that's a really big deal. And it was awful. I had horrible, horrible anxiety afterwards for years because all of my serotonin was wiped out in my gut. And I suddenly had eczema all over my body, everything. Well, not all over my body, all over my abdomen and my right hand. And I was like bleeding, and it was really gross. Everything I ate made me bloated. I felt sick to my stomach all the time. I never knew when I was going to have diarrhea or if I felt like I was going to vomit. So being a very social person who loves people and loves going out to eat, suddenly I didn't want to go out to eat anymore because I never knew if what I was going to eat would make me feel terrible. And then, that's embarrassing enough as it is. And, I just was very tired all the time. I had no energy. And I've been an athlete my whole life. And to go from being in the gym every day and weight training and, doing all the cycling, doing all the things I love to do, to suddenly being stuck on a couch. And my goal was to get up and walk to my mailbox and back every day. Like it was a big life change for me. So that's what it looked like.
You get this diagnosis, they're pumping you full of meds. It sounds like you made a decision somewhere that I've got to figure out the root of this. Is that what happened?
They didn't tell me, unfortunately, the doctors aren't trained on how to help you after the fact. Their job is to help save your life, which is such a huge blessing. But they don't talk to you about the recovery period. And I thought I was eating pretty healthy beforehand, but really I was, I ate a lot of Burger King and Subway and, for lunch. And I was in a totally different career. And so it was kind of fast food was what it was. But, at night I'd have vegetables and I drank my milk and I drank a lot of water, but I really didn't have a healthy diet. So my body it crumbled, and so when I was in this period now of like, okay, the diarrhea has stopped from the C. difficile. But how do I get healthy again? And I asked the doctors and they're like, well, just eat healthy. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? I don't know what that, like, what does that actually mean? Because everyone's saying all these different things. And like, how do I get my energy back? Like, I've got 2 boys. I can't be laid up on the couch for the next 5 years. Like, I mean, when I say tired, I mean extraordinarily fatigued. So, it was one of these things I had to advocate for myself. And I just trusted, I prayed a lot, and I trusted that God was going to bring the people that I needed to help me in my path. And that happened. So it was like every puzzle piece came together as needed at the right time. And it was a miracle, truly, because it literally went from, okay, you can't take antibiotics again because you can relapse from C. difficile. So if your kids, this is what the doctor says, if your kids get sick with strep and you catch it and you have to take the antibiotics, you might end up in ICU and you may not come out next time. So that put such fear inside of me. It's like, okay, well, what do I do? How do you rebuild an immune system? I didn't even know my immune system was shot. I had no idea. You just don't know anything. So, it's like, okay, step 1, we got to fix the nutrition part because everything I ate was making me sick. Well, I found out that basically when you have a major illness happen, sometimes we have a sleeping giant in our bodies and it wakes it up. So that's why I had the explosion of eczema and why everything I ate was making me sick. So I went through all this food allergy testing and I did elimination diets and I found out what was bothering my body. And then so we started there. And then it was like, okay, how do I rebuild my immune system? And what can I do to help myself stay healthy? My husband was sick all the time he flew all the time for work. He'd always come home with something. Then my older one was in preschool. So, preschools are petri dishes. So from school. So everything my older son brought home from school and my husband brought home from the airport, it hit me and it would last 10 times longer and hit 10 times harder than anybody else. And the baby would get it. So it was like, how do we stop this? So that was the next thing. And I just kept building, what is the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? And eventually, I cleared everything and I ended up leaving my career to go back to school to study holistic healthcare and health coaching. And here I am now.
That is amazing. So I know you have done a lot of education and you have a lot of credentials. Tell us about your corporate wellness programs. I know you're a speaker. We're here today to really talk about, why would someone hire you? Explain that.
Yeah. So, corporate wellness has really exploded since the pandemic, I think. I think it was starting, years beforehand, but nobody really took it very seriously until the pandemic hit. That's my perspective. I'm sure there are other opinions out there. So people hire me because they are seeing their employees not being nearly as productive as they could. There's a lot of mistakes being made. There's a lot of, low energy, a lot of absenteeism, the whole sick and tired of feeling sick and tired thing. It's, one person gets sick, it goes around the entire office and people get sick of it, right? They're not making as much money because the productivity is lower. So people really hire me because they want to increase their bottom line and they want employees that are actually showing up and thriving on the job. They want to have a happier, healthier workplace. So that's why they bring me in.
And you do this virtually for companies?
I do both virtual and in person. It just depends where the clients are. So
that's amazing. So what would a program look like in terms of time and how you bring it together?
Yeah. So, every corporation is going to be different. Their needs, insurance companies are going to be very different from your bankers, from your dental offices or your lawyers. So I really try to tailor things according to what the people's needs are. So I ask a lot of questions. just to gauge like where they're at, what they're actually really needing. Because sometimes you think you need one thing and the truth is you don't need it. You need something else. Like I can see a different problem than you're thinking you have. So sometimes people bring me in to do one of my keynotes. So I've got a keynote called Wellness for the Win, and it's really taking people back to basics and helping them get a good foundation so that they have more energy and they're feeling healthier. But other times corporations will bring me in for longer periods of time. So for example, you may have a corporation, you've got 500, 600, 700 people, and you want a health coach to come in and speak on various topics. And your end goal is you want to see your employees being more productive. So I have a powerhouse productivity package. So over 6 months, you'd have me either come in live and in person or virtually to teach 6 different workshops that are going to get you towards that goal of having a really productive workforce. So for example, I have in this particular package, I have a class called Eating for Energy and Productivity. I have something on sleep. I have something on dealing with your gut because a lot of stuff happens in the gut. I have stuff on stress. So everything's going to look different. I have another one that's called the Thriving Under Pressure package. So I talk a lot about stress management and sleep, anti-stress diets, again, gut, and then like natural things that you can do to help boost your energy and help bring your stress down and all the things like that. So I really try to tailor things. Sometimes people don't want a 6-month speaking package. Sometimes they just want 3 things. And so we'll put something together for them like that. I'm very, very flexible, but I really try to cater to what their goals and their needs are, as opposed to like, hey, just pick something off my website. And it doesn't work like that. I really, really try to tailor things so that the client gets the best results possible.
Perfect. What misconceptions are out there in your world and in dealing with business owners and coaching, health coaching?
Yeah. So the biggest misconception that I see is people do not understand the value of their investment that they're making. They think it's just a frivolous expense that they're making, but what they don't understand is that's actually costing them to not have someone like me come in, whether it's me or somebody else that's a wellness expert. It's costing them. It's costing them a lot of time and energy and money because they have employees that are getting sick. And then if you have an employee that gets sick, somebody else can't do their job. They have to have a freelancer. That is expensive. You have to spend, valuable resources
right
in areas that you don't want to be spending those resources because people are out so I can tell you that when you see the ROI, there are a lot of case studies out there that talk about what's happened when corporations have brought in corporate wellness speakers like myself to help their employees. The ROI is fantastic. I mean, besides like how much more money you're making and money you're saving, because what happens is sick employees cost their company so much money because that company is having to pay for the insurance and the premiums go up, right? So you not only see the financial savings, but you see, the employees are getting healthier, they're happier, the culture changes for the better, they're more productive, less mistakes are being made. The list just goes on and on and on. But people just, they look at the price tag of it or they don't have it budgeted. Like a lot of bigger corporations, they do have a budget for corporate wellness speakers, right? They've seen the results from it. But when you're new to it and you're a smaller corporation, your budget's going to be smaller and you just may think like, well, this money is better off spent somewhere else. But what are you doing when your employees are just getting sick all the time? Flu season's right around the corner.
Right.
Like what can we do to help prevent that, so.
Investing in your team, it's a long play. It's what businesses, it's a great idea to not have to react to all the problems, but actually, this proactive approach, that is amazing.
And you retain, what I found is that companies retain employees a lot longer because the employees feel cared for and valued.
Exactly.
Because their employer, it's not just like, hey, show up on the job, do your job. It's, hey, we actually really care about your well-being and we want you to be thriving and we want you to be happy here. And like, what can we do to help you stay healthier? And guess what? That trickles down to their families. So you're not only changing the life of your employee, you're changing their family and their family's future. So it's a real win-win.
Amazing. I just adore what you do. I just think you're an amazing woman. Tell our audience how to find you, how to reach you.
Yes. Okay. So you can visit my website. It's equibalancehealth.com, EQUI balancehealth.com. I'm also on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. It's Carolina R. Marrelli, Marrelli.
And your phone number? Do you?
Yeah, 305-321-8414.
A pleasure. I hope to see you out again soon. You're always a great gal to connect with. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpsouthcharlotte.com. That's gnpsouthcharlotte.com or call 980-351-5719.